To our joint meeting between the Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners. I asked Commissioner Joe Darter if he would to set an indication and bless the food.
Okay, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, bless us all here today. Keep us calm. May your Spirit be amongst us as we debate these important issues facing Wayne County. Bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies and us to thy service. Amen.
Commissioner Larson, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all. We're going to take a short recess for lunch, so the whole world's not watching us eat. So we'll have a short recess, and we'll start the line for the Board of Education. We'll do our introductions. Chairman, I'm going to let you kind of start with how you want to go along.
We'll just start down here at the end with Mr. Henderson.
Lynn Henderson, District 2.
Bill Joyner, District 4.
Patricia Burden, District 3.
Tommy Sanders at large. Craig Folk, District 5. Bart Wisher, Superintendent.
Wade Latham, District 6.
Chris West, District 1. Richard Schwartz, Board Attorney.
Sylvia Sasser, Board Assistant.
Leslie Rouse, Finance Officer.
Tim Harrell, Assistant Superintendent. Ken Dorsey, Executive Director.
Ginger Moore, Assistant County Manager.
Chip Crunchler, County Manager.
Angie Boswell, Finance Director.
Andrew Neal, Staff Attorney.
Gordon Parker, County Attorney.
Antonio Williams, District 2.
Freeman Harrison, County Commissioner, District 4.
Joe Daugherty, District 6.
Bart Raycock, District 1.
Wayne Aycock, at large.
Chris Gurley, District 5.
Carol Bowden, clerk to the board. And over here, we have Joel Gilly and Trent Thomas from Public Affairs.
All right, thank y'all for coming today. I'll turn it over to Board of Education, and you can proceed.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to be here today to present our budget request for the upcoming fiscal year 24-25. All the county commissioners, all of our Board of Education members, staff members, Mr. Manager, and your staff, we are thrilled to be here today to be able to present to you the needs for the school district for the upcoming year. We're most appreciative of a wonderful lunch. I think it's a great opportunity to be able to get together like this and work together. Today, we'll start off, Mr. Dirksen, we'll start off with our new mission and vision for the school district. One of the things that I put together when coming here to Wayne County is what I call the Strategic Initiatives Commission. And that's a group of citizens from all various aspects of Wayne County, business and industry, religious individuals, individuals from the base, nonprofits, individuals representing the school system, and any guests that show up at this particular meetings that we hold. We meet monthly. And in that process, I've been listening to the ideas that have been formed from out of this particular group, which is what has helped us to form a new mission and vision for our school system. Amongst other topics that we're working on is a 5-year strategic plan that will be very finite in what we work towards. One of the things that I hope that this community, you as commissioners, you as members of the county leadership, and certainly as a Board of Education, I hope that you will appreciate is that we are upfront. We're clear-eyed about the issues that we face and embracing those problems and working to overcome them. In the development of our new mission is that Wayne County Public Schools will educate students to become contributing members of society in a competitive, collaborative, and safe environment. And the vision is to be Wayne County's choice for education, where students, faculty, and community learn and grow together. Currently, we serve approximately 86% of school-age students in this district. We have 14 that participate in parochial, private, charter, homeschool. We want to be the choice of every parent in this school district and every student of school age. As I've said before, I want parents to be able to ride by our school facilities, drop by our school facilities, visit our school facilities, and point at those buildings and say that they're proud of where their child is in school. Childhood poverty rate is at 29.9% for children in this county. Also very clear-eyed about the poverty that we face in rural eastern North Carolina, and in particular here in Wayne County. County poverty rate overall stands at 20.2%. North Carolina is at 14%. That information is from My Future NC, which has put a concentrated effort on tracking childhood poverty in our state. One of the things that I often look at, and I've done this since my time as a superintendent, and I've assisted other superintendents in my previous districts that I've been in, Pitt and in Edgecombe, is looking at per pupil local appropriation. And again, this is local appropriation. This is not commingling or blending of funds. This is singularly from local tax dollars. One of the leaders in our area, and that these districts are put here because they're in what we refer to as the southeast region, which is where Wayne County Public Schools falls in our RESA participation within this particular footprint. New Hanover County is the highest in our area at 3431. I'm also very clear-eyed that they have something that we do not have here, which is beach. Okay? If you look at some of the top districts, Pamlico and Carteret, they have coastal resources that we do not have. Nor could we compete in terms of the property tax values in those areas. But what I will draw your attention to is the per pupil funding number from Jones County. Jones County has a great deal of similarities. In fact, some of their statistics are worse than what we face here in Wayne County. Their per pupil appropriation is at $1,708 per student from local taxes. You see Wayne, actually Lenore County was a few cents. These numbers are rounded. Lenore County beat us out by just a couple of pennies. And then of course Duplin and Green, and that information is from the North Carolina Public School Forum from 2023. Under academic highlights, one of the first things I learned in my first week on the job here in Wayne County is that based off of the previous year's test scores, Wayne County Public Schools was labeled by the state Department of Public Instruction as a low-performing school district. That happens when greater than 50% of schools that have reportable data. Okay, if you're a K-2 school, you are the score of the school that has reportable data. But of 50% or greater of schools that have low-performing schools, Wayne County fell into that category. And our data from the previous year in 21-22 shows that we have made progress, albeit small, in 22-23 over the previous year. One of the things that you will see in this list is a lot of congruence between the funding at the local level and the funding of schools and where they rank in terms of performance composite in proficiency. And that is at grade level proficiency, level 3, level 4, level 5 for students. In grades 3 through 8, that is on reading, math, and science and select subjects. And in high school, that's in math 1, math 3, biology, and English 2. One of the things that I'll also draw your attention to is charter schools also participate in the state's accountability system. We have 2 that had performance measures in the previous year, Dillard and Wayne Prep. And in the case of Dillard, they actually performed worse than they did the previous year. And if you go back, you'll see that they've had a significant and steady decline over the years with their population of students. And in fact, both of those schools performed significantly lower than just about any singular school in our region. And as you'll see when we get towards the end of the presentation, we, you, members of this county, pay for that.
I have a question.
Yes.
On Jones County there, I noticed they've gone up 7.8% from one year to the next.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened? I mean, what did they do different?
That's unknown, but you best believe I'm asking that question. We're all
That's a big
curious.
percentage increase.
One of the issues that they've done in Jones County, and one of the members of my staff is a little bit familiar with that and having worked there, they've also done a lot of consolidation of their schools there. They've had a dramatic population shift over the past couple of years in general.
And there's another thing I would like to see on the composite performance. I'd like to see the population side of this.
Size of those districts. Yes. Our total capital outlay budget in 2021 was $2.5 million, in 21-22 to 2.4, 22-23, and 23-24 at $2.407 million. Wayne County Public Schools completed from those capital projects campus safety and security, parking lot improvements, Spring Creek High School, Mount Olive High School, Mount Olive Middle School, new bleacher replacements. We purchased a new activity bus, maintenance vehicle upgrades, and so on and so forth, as well as miscellaneous operational costs in the range of $1.2 million. We're greatly appreciative of the money the county has funded for those particular areas. Some of the big projected capital costs that we have for the upcoming school year are roofing replacements, CBA Cop, Norwayne, Southern Wayne High School at $1.2 million approximately. Asphalt paving and seal coat projects. This is a tremendous need in our school district. Our parking lots on our campuses are majorly in disrepair. To begin to address those projects at $700,000. Waste management vehicle, the vehicle that we have is in disrepair, and we do handle our own trash management to save money. Facility utilization movement cost, removing mobile units, in some cases reestablishing some modular units, modular movement and setup, and athletic facility needs, beginning to address some of our specific needs in our different facilities at $500,000. In the current expense fund highlights for 23-24, classroom supplies and materials, and some of these funds are specifically stipulating requirements of federal programs, and either matching or a set dollar amount that's required to be appropriated at $135,048. Band equipment and uniforms at $152,000. Employee supplement and benefits, that amount is exclusive of local appropriation amount of $6.7 million. District property and liability vehicle insurance at $1.5 million. We receive a small county sign-on bonus match for $183,000. Transportation cost. This is an item specifically that I've talked about with Dr. Piper that we had experimented with in other districts that I'm familiar with and had a lot of success in impacting students specifically that do not have their own vehicle. And as I've said before, we should not be determining who's able to participate in CCP courses by virtue of whether or not they have car keys in their pockets. So this gives students of all abilities, all backgrounds, the ability to participate in courses at Wayne Community College. That is our estimate of running a bus from each of our attendance zones, a driver, cost of fuel, to Wayne Community College once per day for students to be able to participate in CCP offerings on campus at Wayne Community. We also pay annually, depending on per student that participates in charter schools, either here in Wayne or other charter schools that may be in the region that some students attend. Currently, that's at approximately $1.8 million. Maintenance, salary, and facilities, as you know, that's exclusively required for local county appropriation dollars at $5.6 million. And utility cost, water, sewer, electric, in some cases gas, $3.9 million.
Could you possibly go back to that slide and explain a little bit more on charter school funding?
Yes, so for every student that participates in a charter school, whether it be here in Wayne County, or if they go to Winterville Charter, for example. If they go to Northeast Carolina Prep in Edgecombe County, then we have one student going there. The state dollars go with that student. And any local dollars that you appropriate per pupil is divided up of what you provide for each student. That ADM number is given to that charter school for the local appropriations.
And my point here,
Yes.
the dollars, whether it's federal, state, or local, follow the student.
That is correct.
Just one clarification.
I'm sorry, can you, sir?
Yes.
With the transportation aspect of that, you said you'll be traveling from CP to WCC once a day. So how do they get to their final destination?
The bus takes, the bus delivers back to our home base campus. Recurring expenses, now these are some of the things, these are regular, average, everyday cost of doing business activities that we have. Every time the state gives a raise, and we're grateful for that, and North Carolina has invested significant resources in what they have put into public schools as of late. Every time that happens, that increases our local cost. Okay, if you give us a percentage for supplement, for example, that increases our percentage of supplement as the state increases salaries. Retirement rate increases. Currently, and this is a projection because the state has not released finite numbers to us as of yet, but this is what is largely anticipated. A rate into state retirement, a hospitalization rate increase, and the permanent employee supplement for 7.5% for certified, and principals range anywhere from 6.5% to 9%. Under the employee local supplement, current certified staff receive a local supplement of 7.5%. That's licensed staff and licensed positions. Assistant principals receive a 6.5% local supplement. Principals receive a local supplement of elementary 6.5%, middle school at 7%, and high school principals at 9%. Next slide goes into more detail about the last two.
Could you back up one slide? Who establishes high school principals getting a 9%?
That's out of the local appropriation.
But I thought our local appropriation was at 7.5%.
That's for certified teachers.
Only for teachers.
Yes, sir.
Who determines that 9%?
That's set locally.
Who sets it? Your board.
Yes.
Thank you.
Increase of the certified staff and assistant principal local supplement to 10%, elementary principals at 11%, middle school principals at 12%, and high school principals at 13%. I would also like for us to look at a creation of a local classified staff supplement. Classified staff would involve maintenance employees, bus drivers, child nutrition, custodial staff, the individuals, as I like to say, are the glue that keep our buildings together. They keep us functioning on a daily basis. As you'll see, some of the other areas that we see offer significant differences in what the supplements are. Certified in Wilson County is at 8%, classified is at 6%, and their principal supplement is at between 9 and 11. Duplin County pays a dollar amount. They did not share what they're paying their principals. And Johnston County, you can see the certified staff is at 11.5 to 14.5, classifieds at 300. Now, as I've said before, they did not share what their principal data is, but that information was shared with me privately, and I can tell you in some cases it's as much as 14, 15, 16%, depending on the differentiation for how the principal serves, the number of students that they serve, and their longevity in those positions.
Could we back up one slide? Yeah, moving too fast. Am I understanding in Wilson County, certified teachers are getting an 8% supplement?
That's correct.
Is that correct? That's all classifications, federal, state, and local, or only local on the 8%?
Their advertised supplement is at 8% for teachers now.
Correct.
If there are other differentiations, they're making them up.
So if we're at 7.5 and they are at 8,
Yes.
we're looking at 0.5%.
0.5% difference. Thank you. Under the current expense comparison, our appropriation in 1920, the 1920 school year, was at $19,053,791. In 2021, it was $19,430 with a 2% recognized increase. In 21-22, there was an increase of 19.68, which recognized a 1.3% increase, and so on until you get to 23-24, which saw a 2.2% increase at 20.556. We also had restricted appropriations that were set aside in each of those subsequent years that correspond with the years that I just mentioned. $800,000, $200 in supplements, $600,000 for technology, and $293,500 for Edgewood. In 2021, same amount for supplement, same amount for technology, so on and so on. And you, of course, assisted us in 23-24 with funds for Wayne School of Technical Arts. Now, in a good year, we have not experienced such high inflation over the past couple of years. Those issues of funding may not have necessarily have cleaned our clocks as significantly as it has over the past couple of years. You can see the numbers from the Consumer Price Index, which is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics from 19, 20, 21. It outlines the numbers specifically witnessed for inflation. One year that was so tremendous was in 21, which saw inflation at 7.04%. 22, not much better, 6.45, and 23 at 3.35. And in fact, just today I saw it looks like inflation has ticked up from the previous month by another 0.1%. In 24-25, our current expense request is at $24,219,880. This is largely from inflationary costs that we've experienced to our desire to increase and become more competitive in our supplements that we're paying, as well as cost increases from utilities and other sources beyond our control. Under standard operating procedures, Wayne County Public Schools will seek to have clean schools, facilities, and grounds, safe, orderly, and caring environments. This is a part of our standard operating procedure. Data that informs, guides, and directs our instructional practices. A competitive environment for school performance, and community engagement and involvement and respect, ultimately, for our teachers and staff members of Wayne County Public Schools. One of my core beliefs, and I know one of your beliefs, as well as that of our board and the citizens at large in this county, is the expectation for a return on investment into our schools. I discuss that at every single meeting that we have of our leadership team, our principal meetings. It's a key indicator for what drives economic development in a community. I am keenly aware of that. And so today, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration. I am, as I've said before, a product of rural eastern North Carolina. The resources are scarce. What I have here done is outline for you what our needs are, what our vision is for the school system. As I mentioned, I know resources are tight. We're dealing with tax dollars, which we should expend prudently and wisely. But I do assure you that our school systems would be a return on investment in this community. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Anybody got any questions for Dr. Whitman? Oh, not questions, don't go away, come back.
Oh, I'm coming back.
You gotta use glasses, right?
Please go ahead.
Go ahead. Can we back up one slide? You're showing here your request of 24,219. And if I'm correct, based upon our slide, you are computing your number. 20,556,000 is the current
That's
allocation.
correct.
Is that correct?
Unrestricted funds, yes, that's correct.
So you were looking at roughly $4 million in an increase.
That's correct.
Now, I hope everyone in this room recognizes that this side of the room does not have money trees out here that we go and shake and it comes out of the sky or anything. $4 million would represent us raising property taxes by about 5 cents, just roughly. Now, that is only from the expense category.
That's correct.
Now we're going to go to capital outlay. Out of the $5 billion, roughly that's an increase of 2.5, I'm rounding up, rounding down, $2.5 billion more from local funds, which again would equate to a property tax increase. I'm rounding the two numbers. You're basically looking at about 7 cents in property tax
just to fund this request. I, as a commissioner, can't do that. And I don't have a money tree. So we're going to have to find some way to cut some expenses for you to obtain any of this. I'm just saying, I'm not going to raise property taxes 7 cents.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I heard you say you don't have a money tree. Nobody does, I don't think. I wish I had one. But is that the only place, I mean, so you're attributing all of this increase, if you would give it to us, the only place you've got to get money from is a property tax increase?
I didn't say that. I said that's what it would equate to.
Okay, well, I mean, that was the only source you mentioned to satisfy what he's asked for was a property tax. Is that not what I heard?
That's exactly what I just said.
So let me ask you another question. I'm just curious, because we just got, I mean, I guess everybody in this room is a taxpayer. I guess the reevaluation that you're fixing to do, how much revenue is that going to produce? You know?
I don't.
We don't know yet.
When is that coming?
Next year.
So that'll be on our tax bills for next year. So we don't have any idea if it's going to be $1 or $10 million?
No idea. Can I answer that?
Yes, sir.
In reevaluation, state law requires us, as county commissioners, to publish what a neutral tax rate would be to accommodate the same taxes to a property owner. So, if currently the tax rate is 74 cents, and my property is valued at 100,000, and then it's reevaluated at 150, I have to show you the lower tax rate to provide the same revenue. Am I correct?
Yes.
So a reevaluation by itself will not produce any monies unless this board agrees to increase your property taxes. Your net cost of property tax would actually have to go up. So reevaluation is a misnomer if you think it creates any additional revenue. It does not.
Okay, well, then, so what you're saying in essence is it's got nothing to do with this. It's great news to my ear, because when I go through a reevaluation next year, my property tax is not going to increase.
No, I did not say that.
Oh, okay.
I said I've got to tell you what your property tax rate would be to be neutral. Now, in most cases, yes. In most cases, doing reevaluation, there is an adjustment on that. So it may show that the property tax rate would be 66 cents, but it may end up being 68, so there would be a modest increase. So I didn't say it was going to be approved by this board as being neutral. We have to present it as neutral.
But the reevaluation typically,
It
years
could
I've been
create
on
some
property,
dollars. Yes, it
has
could.
created an increase in my property tax.
It could.
Well, in the amount you pay, not the
In the
tax
amount-
level.
Right.
So that if the tax level stayed at 74%,
Oh, if it did, then it
okay,
would be
then you'd
a,
have
it'd be a great
a
thing, but it would
great-
not. I can assure you it won't.
One of the efforts, and I'm glad you both have discussed this, is when you look at property tax rate percent per $100 valuation, great point. When you look at Wilson County, they're almost a penny charging what we want. But when you look at the adjusted tax base and the adjusted property tax revenue, the key statistics are there on taxable land, homes, automobiles in those areas. If you look at what that tax would generate, for example, in Moore County, they're charging 84.5. Greene County, 78.6. Sampson, 82.5. Duplin at 73.5. Johnston lower at 69. Jones at 74. So really, if you look at our neighbors nearby, we're one of the lowest in the area in terms of what we're charging.
And we're proud of that.
I'm proud of that too, trust me. But the state also looks at that when they look at our low wealth point, and the effort to generate taxes. And when you look at the actual relative effort ranking, in 23, Wayne County was ranked 59 out of 100 counties. In this year's ranking report, we slipped further, 3 spots to 62. that hurts us in the county's formula that we receive from the state. Because the state then says, you have revenue sources that you can generate, but you do not, which the state then penalizes us in our low wealth. So that's what hurts us from state dollars as well.
Glad you brought that up. We fought this battle before because we reduced property taxes one year and we lost low wealth dollars. Now, we went to the bat to get that readjusted to where basically we have the legislation changed, which allowed Wayne County schools to be exempt from the low wealth formula as long as you kept a population above 17,000. But guys, ladies, we just dropped below 17,000. So we're about to lose low wealth. What do you say?
We're not under 17.
The number I have is 16,917.
We had 17,300 that we reported on our most recent ADM month that's captured by the State Department of Construction.
That is correct. When did you report that?
Well, I'm not sure which PMR month that is.
What is the daily attendance today?
Oh, attendance fluctuates on a
It
monthly
does.
basis.
I'm just saying, we're close to losing
Oh, it
our
depends.
low wealth funding. If we're not extremely careful.
Oh, sure.
When those numbers are compensated,
That's
back
right.
next what, September?
Again, the new month that they're going to pick up on could be February, correct? This could be changed. That's unknown.
We're close. We're
That's
very
correct.
close.
We have-
We've got to be very careful. How much?
Did you say? Oh, he asked the question. I was talking about the same thing.
How many teachers do we have in Wayne County now?
It's at 1,200.
About 1,200.
1,200.
How many does the state fund? Anybody over there?
We have no locally funded teaching positions.
So all 1,200 on the state fund?
No, I believe
Either
it's
state or
from the
fed.
state federal.
Yeah. But we are a bit unusual that we don't have any local funds.
On the ESSER funds, how much ESSER funds, I want the dollar figure on ESSER funds.
Are you referring to ESSER 1, ESSER 2, all total combined? And then keep in mind, they have restricted periods of expiration on each individual one. So perhaps ESSER 3 would be the most current applicable one that expires December 31st and funds must be encumbered by September 30th.
You know how much that was?
This year we carry forward 24 million. So we have 24 million.
But those funds are encumbered, which means planning.
So you got them already planned out. Yes, sir. We're not giving any money back.
So we're in back there. We're sprinting hard to get all of our projects finished, most notably at Goldsboro High School, Southern Wayne, to get. We blame that. But I can tell you that all of those funds are expected to be spent to the dollar.
Okay, I guess what I'm going back to, look far as the actual ESSER funds on the, some numbers that we received. Is I'm trying to figure out how much are reoccurring costs on the bonuses and funding that we give raises. We're just trying to kind of.
None of them can be reoccurring on ESSER because they're all finite to expire. Does that make sense? Finite period when the money runs out.
I understand that part, but what I'm saying is reoccurring costs that will come back on the.
Well, we have no permanent employees hired out of ESSER funds or their contract term limited. And I don't believe we're paying any bonuses that are recurring out of those funds either. In fact, we have to write a plan, and I bought those. We have to write a plan for each particular ESSER fund that we encapsulate through federal programs, describing in a narrative and budget code as well as the amount of how those funds are spent. The Department of Public Instruction's federal programs has to approve that plan before the numbers and codes and funds are approved. Then we're clear to expend, and then the state audits how those funds were spent. I'm very proud of the fact that Wayne County over the past several years that we've used ESSER has not had any particular issues with how we get schools.
That clears that up. Any other questions, comments?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Williams?
And it's not pertaining to overall the numbers we're talking about today, but my concern is District 2, some of the schools we have here. We've already focused on most of the schools on the northern side of the county. District 2, we're just doing patchwork. What's the plan? Because I thought Brogdon, at this point, we'd be getting a new school over there. What's the board doing?
We have applied for a new funding from the state to assist us in building a brand new Brogdon primary school. I've been very clear since I've been here, and I know this board has. Brogdon is in extreme need of assistance. We're very clear on that, and that is a key focus for us. I understand that.
Because
That's our next school construction project that we'll be moving forward.
my constituents that, they feel the board, this board here, is responsible for that. And even though we fund, it's up to your board which direction you're gonna go. So, we definitely need to start to show that community that it's important just like any other community.
Well understood. Brogdon primary is our next up attack.
You estimated that with your consolidation, you'll be saving around $750,000 a year.
The maximum in current expenses that it will save the district from utilities, insurance, other operational costs, some employee combination through attrition and combining job-alike functions. Yes, we fully maximize about $7.
What do you plan to spend that?
Those funds come directly out of current expense. So those funds will go back on the current expense, which will help us to reinvest in our operations.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
One question,
Yes.
congratulations on 22, 23, 1.2% increase. What would you do that we can continue this process to make the decisions towards this increase more?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, 1.2%.
I know it's not, but it is an increase, it's not a decrease.
To be honest with you, I'm not celebrating 1.2%, but I thank you for your kind words. We've got to do better, we've got to do better faster. I know each of you expect that.
Yes.
None more so than me. And we're after. But I think this year, there's been a key focus on data. And I know, in particular, several of my board members celebrate that. I'm a data-oriented and data-focused individual. I also understand that. It's not the smirk on anyone that came before me. But my point on that is, we've got to look at data in real time and adjust accordingly when we see issues with what our students are doing in performance. And I know our teachers are doing that.
I don't think he's going to be quite as cheerful on Friday. Nothing personal, but I've got some real issues.
Okay?
The issues that I have is that the school system is over 50% low performing. Out of all your schools, you're over 50%. If you work for me, that's a failing grade. That's miserable that we would come here and ask for this type of money where we have got 50% of the entire schools are low performing. One.
Let me stop right there for a minute. Some of this stuff was inherited, a lot of this was inherited.
I understand that. But the bottom line is, I don't see a plan of corrective action. I don't see a plan forward. 5 years ago, the schools came to me and said, we need an increase in teacher supplements. We're losing teachers. We have got low performing schools, and the result of that is basically your same argument here. The result of you not having teacher supplement increases is the reason why we're having low performing schools. At that time, if memory serves me correctly, we had 6 low performing schools. I went to the mat and lost friendships over that very issue. And we were able to get in the budget the 1% increase. But how do I justify it when I'm 5 years later and we didn't see a reduction in low performing schools, we saw a doubling of low performing schools. Next, let me point out. If I can get through with it, then you can address them all. The second thing I've got a problem with is that according to the information I have, you have 1,233 teachers in the school system. 1,233. Y'all take your calculator out and divide your population of 17,000 by 1,233 teachers, and you're talking about a per teacher population of 13. Now, we all know we've got classrooms that have got 28 in there. So why are you having such a high number? And my information was the state would only fund 932 of those.
Let me let's write down some of our questions.
Okay.
Let me answer that.
All right.
That's a classic misunderstanding for those not in education.
Well, I'm not in education, so please inform me.
So what you're looking at is duplication of teachers. We have EC teachers that also serve students that have needs.
Okay.
We have ESL teachers. We have migrant teachers. We have school librarians, media center personnel. We have school guidance counselors that also count into that number as well. They don't have students rostered. So when you add them to the mix, does everyone in this room automatically understand? Numerator over denominator. What do you do to your number then?
Okay, all right, so that's a good explanation, I appreciate that, but those are the numbers I would use.
So when you also look at per county appropriation, Wayne County ranks as 92nd. And the new data that just came out February the 29th, Wayne is now 93rd out of 100 counties. When you look at every one of our neighbors surrounding us, we're getting beat. So when we talk about failure, not only what we're doing at the school system, I've been clear to our folks, we're going to be one and done on local performance.
What do you mean, we want it done?
1 year. 1 year. And we're done. 1 year. And in terms of our plans, all of our plans are posted online. Every single one of our school improvement in our district.
I would appreciate you to share that individually with this board. Because I don't go on your website.
Okay. Well, it's publicly available.
I do. Now, the last thing I want to point out is this. I think you all have got to accept the fact that it's not only the money that's creating an issue with teachers.
You're here.
Well, it isn't. But all I hear, and I went to the dressing down at your meeting on the 29th, and it basically, you stated that there's a direct correlation between student performance and funding. Well, I understand you, but I disagree with that. I think there are a lot of other factors that need to be in the mix as well. I find it hard to believe that a teacher that went to school, chose that profession, wanted to excel as a teacher in Wayne County is going to give that up to work in Wayne County for $230, 0.5%, to go to Wilson County. I find that hard to believe. There's got to be other issues there that would motivate that person to go to Wilson County.
Much agreed. I would say it's a multitude and a factor of problems that we face, particularly, and I've said many times, in rural eastern North Carolina. We face challenges that other portions of the state simply do not face. But we have to do more to be attractive. It begins with teacher working conditions, which I have prioritized in our district to improve our teachers' daily work in their schools. I've supported our principals in restoring discipline, key element, all across the board, from how a student participates in an athletic event, for how they ride a bus, for how they treat and respect teachers and principals in our school buildings.
And here.
That's a
Thank you.
non-negotiable.
Thank you.
But we also have to clean our campuses up in terms of how they look. Our board has been key and committed to improving our campus appearances. And it's not just about window dressing or appearances. It goes to the core in what we do to improve our facilities. But all I'm asking for is, and I've used this word to death, so I'm a little hesitant to use it. I got tired of that word 21st century learners a long time ago because it was burned out. But all I've asked for is, what can we do to look at moving the needle? I'm no fool. In any budget year I've ever presented to commissioners. I'll give you this example. I've told this story many times. When I first went down to Columbus County, they told me, they said, Mark, when you get there, Columbus County Commissioners are going to be in one corner, your Board of Education is going to be in another, and at some point they're going to ring a bell and the two will come out in box.
We're not going to do that, guys. Lady.
They weren't far off. But I'm here to tell you that I work on it. My board work on it. Thawing the ice, cooling the rhetoric. I'm not here to say we're perfect. I know that one person is perfect. It ain't me. But I do know it. My point in this matter is we've got to do something locally to move the needle. I'm not asking you to raise taxes 5%. I suspect every one of you would be run out of office. But what can we do if we keep piling up deferred maintenance? Maintenance gets more expensive. COVID, or let me say ESSER, was a blessing in that it afforded us some one-time dollars from the federal government that really helped you all out because it helped out the state to help us to attack some significant issues that we have ever afforded to do all the HVAC replacements that we did. No way. Could we have afforded to replace windows on buildings such as Hillsborough High School? No way. Could we have afforded to do all of the big multitude involved in hundreds of millions of dollars through ESSER funds for us to attack those areas? No. When you talk about the performance and how it fell apart and numbers rose steadily of low-performing schools, you left out the key element that every school district in North Carolina faced during those years: COVID and school closure. So, again, the issue is, I'm not here to point out, it's never an intent to embarrass. My point is, what can we do to put our heads together to agree to look at additional funds in strategic areas to help us? I want to have as many arrows in my quiver as I can, that I can keep our teachers. Because on personnel reports that this board sees and I see every month, we have a steady number that are going to key selected areas. Johnston County's primary. And I can tell you, with one of my recent hires and some of her contacts and the sharing of our working conditions in our county, and I think we're going to see a major jump this year in the governor's teacher working conditions survey report. But I think we're going to start getting some folks back on working conditions. But my key point is, if you've got a good employee and you want to keep them, the businessman, that employee comes to you and says, I got somewhere else to go, you look at him and say, sorry, don't let the door hit you on the way out. The point is, I got to have a little something that I can dangle at him and say, we appreciate you, come on, stay with us. That's all I'm looking for. All I'm looking for. We can't compete with Chapel Hill, Barber City, we can't compete with New Hanover. I know that. It's never going to happen. But we do have resources in this district. Wayne County's got a lot to be proud of. And I want our school systems to be at the top of that heap here soon.
I know it seems like I'm really picking on you, I'm not.
That's what I'm here for.
I got one last thing.
Yes, sir.
You're right. at a lifelong business.
Sure.
And numbers and budgets, you can use numbers to justify anything. It's just according to what numbers you use.
Sure.
And I've got a real issue with the numbers you're using.
Okay.
Give you a point. When we go and add up our local appropriations, we look at all appropriations. And yes, we do have line items that we provide to the school system that are not included in your $20 million figure. Our number is $23,784,758.
You including fines and forfeitures?
I'm including, what am I including? No, I'm not, wait a minute, there's even more.
Let me ask you about that particular number in particular. Fines and forfeitures come from the court system. Tickets that are issued, vehicles that are seized, so that is.
Not included in here. Let me go through and give you some of the numbers, some of the breakdown.
Okay.
The base allegation, which you are using, is $20,556,000.
And I was clear, that's the base appropriation.
Okay, but let's add to it. The School of Technical Arts, $600,000. Additional local teachers supplement funding,
$200.
Annual technology allocation, $600,000. Pre-K expenses, $110,000. Wish appropriation, $190,000. In addition to all that, not including the 23, we have county appropriated of $928,000, right at $1 million, for school resource officers.
Correct.
But those dollars come from our local budget.
That's over and above. the
That's over and
state
beyond.
grant money.
That's correct.
It's 1.6 for everything.
So what I'm saying is, let's include all of the money that's coming from the county coffers.
Did you see the slide where I had those numbers listed?
I did not.
That $800,000, $200.
I'm just going back to the 20.
$600,000 that you gave for technology.
But you
and
gotta add that
specific amount
into
of-
the 20 million.
Oh, I specifically said, that's an addition, those are earmarked funds that are listed.
My point exactly.
But you saw that.
I did, but what I'm saying is, you're saying it, that it's 20 million, and you're also using the 20 million figure to indicate that we are low down on the state as far as county appropriation.
All of those earmarks counted in the figure from the state.
Can't possibly.
They did, every one of them.
Can't possibly.
I'll show you the statistics.
Well, I think that's the issue, is the numbers that we're getting, we got off the DPI, and speaking to some of the board members, some of those numbers were skewed for some reason. So what Joe's alluding to is when you got your 20 million, if you add the 600, 800, 1,200, 110, 190, run on down the line, and I didn't see anything about the school resource officers on pay list.
The numbers that you're talking about, please understand, DPI's numbers that they print on a spreadsheet, they're not real-time live numbers. PMRs, Principals Monthly Reports, which are generated through online student accountability system, currently the online system of accountability that we use for student power student, so you're ready to switch. But the current system is a snapshot in time that DPI takes for reporting statistical numbers. When you say we dip below 16,000, that may have been during an individual month. The school system numbers fluctuate with each particular month, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. That happens everywhere. But the month of statistical reporting happens at different thresholds, and again, the state school committee can change that. The numbers that you provide for education, my numbers came from the public school board, who gets their data from the North Carolina Department of Revenue. They include every dollar to the penny that you appropriate locally for education. So those numbers are completely accurate when I tell you county by county rankings that they do in terms of relative effort and the amount of money per pupil that they appropriate. It does not commingle funds that the state provides in low wealth supplement. It does not provide funds commingled for, what's the other one, Leslie, that they appropriated from the state that passes through the county? Low wealth and the new one. I've got the notes. But my point on that is, data numbers matter. And the one that I got a lot of phone calls about when my number rang off was about the County Commissioners Association numbers. Theirs had two flaws. They did not pull from a data hub. They let districts self-report. Some districts misinterpreted how that material was reported. Some singularly, what was red flag to me is because I know what Greene County pays in their summit. When I saw what Greene County was paying, I knew that was wrong, because which was what triggered me to go and look at every one of those numbers and how they were ranked. Some blended two state times along with their local, which automatically jacked them up. That's what the report asked for. Total supplement paid, whether it was state or local. Some school districts, either A, didn't report, which automatically put them at the bottom of the heap. You look at Clay County, for example. If you look at some other ones, for example, they only singularly reported the state amount. So then when you mix those numbers and rank them to 100, Wayne was artificially inflated.
But you're making my point, and that is, again, it's who reports, who fills out the report, and what numbers do they put in there
Which I just
as to create.
I just eloquently shared why you need to be so careful as to where you get your data.
But additionally, our ranking is going to be lower if the reporting is not accurate.
That's why I'm saying I don't ever rely on the county commissioners or public school board. They have a history. They have a history of pulling from two sources.
Let me make my point even further. One year.
Wait just a minute, what are those two sources?
Department of Revenue, North Carolina Department of Revenue, and Department of Public Instruction. They get their pupil numbers from the Department of Public Instruction. They get their revenue sources by the county funding per student, county government.
And that's the county commissioners and the
No,
school.
sir. That's only one source, the North Carolina Public School Board.
Public schools.
And they have statistical profiles that date back, probably 30 years.
And my point is, I was embarrassed one year when I went to a seminar sponsored by the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and they brought out a chart, and in that chart, it showed that Wayne County was dead last in regards to local funding. And I began to ask the moderator, and I said, where in the world did you get these numbers? Well, the numbers were $10 million is all that the Wayne County had actually provided for local funding. And I'm saying, look, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's no more than $10 million. And so they actually, the association contacted the source, which was the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And they said, well, that's what Wayne County reported to them, and they only use that number. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, doesn't anybody verify the numbers? So I'm just saying, numbers can be wrong,
So you
reports can be wrong.
You knew that they were not a good
I
source.
knew they were, I knew that the numbers they were using from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction were wrong. And listen, they contacted North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and they said, well, they came from Wayne County.
My point exactly. Don't rely on humans to input the information, draw it directly from the Department of Revenue. Taxman knows what the individuals pay.
I'm not sure how the tax man knows how much Wayne County gives to the
I'm
local
sure they
school.
pull the reports. Don't you have a standardized reporting system that you're putting your revenue numbers in?
I wouldn't know how
Do what?
I wouldn't know how you can access that information from the Department of Revenue.
I wouldn't either.
I would love to know if you could share.
It's on their website. If you go to the North Carolina Department of Revenue, they have per pupil information.
Instead of us having to look for everything, if you'll forward it to us. I'll take that sense and read it, but will, if you know where it's at, send it to us so we can all look together.
I'll be happy.
If I can end on a positive.
Please do.
With all those issues, we all have to recognize we have some serious issues here in regards to public education in Wayne County. And we've got to find some solutions. If that's increased funding, it's got to be tied to performance. So we've got to have a plan where basically you develop that says, once we move the needle, using your word, once we move that needle and we are better performance, then we have got to increase funding. But you got to move the needle.
That's all I've asked for.
Well, if that's all you asked for, I'm on board.
Now, remember, I said, I'm asking, I'm telling our staff, this county's got to have a return on investment.
Fair enough.
I think both boards, number one priority is to remove our school system, or schools from local form and move from there. Bring our graduation rate up, higher than what it is. That's our number one priority. We as local leaders basically are from the community. Our communities, that's what they expect.
Yeah,
From
right.
both ways. From both ways. So we've got to work together. I don't want the dogs being thrown both ways. And, it's just, I'm not speaking French here. All of us have got egos that we got to get over and try to do the right thing. Craig and myself have been in discussion probably the past 6 weeks, trying to come up with something between the two of us that we can, hopefully both boards can work together, that we can actually do something, actually on the performance side of it. There's a lot of teachers that need more money. There's a lot of teachers, as I said the other day, there's some teachers that there's not enough money to pay them because they're that good. And then their son, they need to move on down the street. So I feel like that as the two boards, if we can work together, is sharing information that makes, just like we were talking about right now, where that leak is. If we're looking at the wrong figures, we got figures right here that's come off the DPI. If they're wrong, then we need to know, and we need to know where. Because we're going on what we're given, and Department of Public Instruction, you would think has the correct figures. You would think, because they're in charge of the public school system, but evidently they don't, based on the information that I've been told. So that being said, I think we can keep on throwing back at each other, but if any of the school board members has anything to say, or you.
Well, Chairman Gurley, I appreciate your tone and tenor of this meeting. That's the exact point. Coming together, sitting down at the table, and having a conversation is important. That particular aspect will only help us all to work better together. And in the middle, we'll grow our school system. And I think that's what I would work to in the future. I do it myself, to have an open door, and to being available, and to working hand in hand with the county measures.
Well, and I've got a friend sitting over there, of course, he says he's raised me from a pup. He puts me in timeout on a regular basis. He's just like a brother, and we can, I'm talking about almost like brothers, so we can go at each other and,
Please don't do that.
Oh, no, not in public. Not in public. Not in public. But what I'm getting at is he has told me that you are basically taking care of business. And we appreciate that. And everybody in here, I'm one to sometimes say what's on my mind, sometimes I need to keep my mouth shut, as Wayne says. But the screw up and move up mentality at the Wayne County Public School System is out the door.
Yes, sir.
Based on what I've been told, and I want to say thank you. Because I think that is a lot of you see a lot of the teachers and a lot of the administrators see that and see that the administration, the former administration, you can't fix what happened back in the day, but the former administration didn't stand behind it. The administrators at the school didn't stand behind their teachers. And we don't have the leadership stand behind their staff, that's an issue. So I would say thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Dr. Woods, would it be possible for us to get the data that they're using so that we may be able to help them understand?
Absolutely, I'll give it to you right now.
Dr. Wood? So, my last comment, question. Aggressively, what other funding are you trying to capture that could help without just depending on the board itself?
So, reasonably speaking, there's a lot of concerns. And it's not just here in Wayne County, it's not just 116 school districts in Wayne County. Nationwide, right now, there's a lot of concerns. In fact, we've had some meetings with the Department of Construction about what is not just the titration downward of the ESSER funds, it's the ESSER cliff when those funds expire. So I think our district's been very proactive in already reducing those funds. The issues that we're seeing though is we're paying for a lot of tutors that are giving us individualized instruction and hourly rate of pay. Anytime for retired teachers that are real breadwinners to this district, that are working with students in small numbers. That's a concern in terms of financially sustaining that, to keep those types of operations going on. There are some grants that we're exploring to assist us with that, but increasingly all districts are ramping up their grant efforts because everyone's rowing in the same boat with federal dollars coming off of a cliff. So to answer your question, number one, we're right-sizing ourselves as far as some of our current expenses. We have some buildings that we're utilizing that I've honestly taken some hits for in terms of closures. But unfortunately, I cannot operate a 400+ student capacity building for a very small number of students. And I've got some buildings that are well underutilized in others. So I feel like we owe it to the taxpayers to be good fiscal stewards with what we have. I believe that in my heart. It's not the education ED training program. It's just in most life living with doctors. So we're getting our belts tightened a little bit in terms of what we're using in the district to save costs, to reinvest in the school system for what you're already sending us. Okay? So I hope that kind of a roundabout way explains.
Well, I'd like to, you mentioned the grants. I'd like to see, you get more aggressive, applying for grants.
In some cases, school districts have a person in general that's dedicated to grant writing. We don't. What that would entail would be local funds to support that. But in our case, we have directors that also double as grant writers for some of their actions that they do as well. We've been successful with this.
Well, this board, we have a grant writer. So, I don't know how much we can lend that particular grant writer to you, but if there's something that you may want to see people submit it, I'm sure this board wouldn't have a problem with
You touch on the virtual teacher thing. We've had a lot of discussion about it.
So that's a real misnomer in terms of what's been
So wait, since you're on camera.
So let me share with you on that. The state sends funding for teaching positions. When we can't fill those positions, that funding becomes available to us. It's not local money that's being spent. Those are state teaching salaries that are being reconverted to fill a position that we have to put a substitute teacher in there for that class.
And I'm not insinuating the county's paid, the funds just explain because a lot of people asking, what does that mean?
So what it means is the teacher shortage. I mean, there's various and sundry different companies that operate virtual learning programs. What you see is teachers that are retired in other states, they work for these companies, they come on. If you have an opportunity, if you'd like, I'd be happy to show you the classroom that's being done. It's not optimal. Optimal would be we have a teacher sitting in a classroom, standing and delivering to students, getting results every single day. But what you would have otherwise is a different teacher 5 days a week as a substitute coming in that may not be trained as an educator, working with students. That's sure not going to get results for us. But when you look at individuals and the choices that we have, the only option that we have right now to have someone standing in the classroom teaching students is virtual. And what we've done this year is improve the system over last year And then we have a coach in there, which is an instructional assistant, or someone of that nature, that's there for supervision, that takes care of our duties under the statute for supervision of students. And then the teacher is teaching the lesson online, and grading student work, and so on and so forth. Again, it would not be my preference in a perfect world where I have a teacher surplus of, candidates that I can pick and choose from. But in this current environment, with teacher shortages, which is not anyone's fault here, but it's just the way of the world right now. Individuals are not going to the schools of education like we used to. It's a stopgap measure, which is the best that we can possibly do.
Well, around the county, when they start talking about virtual, the first thing comes to people, somebody's on the screen, nobody's in the classroom. So that.
Oh, no.
That need to be.
Yes, I want to be very clear on that. There's one adult that's on the screen, another adult that's present in the classroom with this student.
Anybody got anything else?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Richard, one question, the low well funding, we're talking about that range of 17,000, 16,009.
Yes.
And we lose personnel at the base, how's it gonna affect that number?
So that's unknown. There's a lot of unknowns with that right now, and there's a degree of uncertainty. I've heard various different things said that I don't necessarily wish to comment on because they're just specifically not known. What we do know is currently, as the law states, if we get below 17,000, we will lose off the top roughly $2 million. That's a significant amount.
Let's make it clear, since the media is here, we're not planning on losing anybody. It's in meetings. So we'll find what we can to try to keep.
Mr. Chairman, I could not have said that any better.
We have tried. And one more thing. Thank all of you for coming today. This has been a very good meeting, very informative. And I'm glad lots of gloves. Put them in the closet, as you said. Because we have all, both boards have one goal, and that's Wayne County students. And we want to work together. I'm speaking for the board, myself too. Then we wouldn't be here today. And we thank you all for meeting. And let's get together and talk, because this is a big problem.
Much appreciated. Is anybody else got anything they need to say?
Lord, I thank you for the job you do. It's a tough job. You're in a situation that I can relate to. So thank you for the work that you do.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First, Commissioner Williams, I want to let you know that we do go after grants. Most specifically, a lot of times, the larger grants that we're going after are grants that would actually benefit the county from the fact of not having to come up with capital improvement to be able to build new schools. You guys are familiar with what has happened out at Fremont. You're also probably familiar with what's happening out at Rosewood. We also did submit another one, as Dr. Richard mentioned, for Brogdon. In addition to that, Dr. Harrell, I think you got another DSIP program that you're getting ready to submit on. DSIP grant was a defense community infrastructure program to help to build Meadow Lane, and we've also applied for that to be able to renovate and do some additions over there at Greenwood. So those are large ones, and really that's, to me, just my background in education when I was at college. There's a little bit of an evil to grants sometimes, because grants will help you get an initiative started, and then the grant dollars run out. And then you got to figure out how you're going to get your local appropriation, your state appropriation, to then continue on with the initiative. But we are actively out there trying to research what grant opportunities we got in addition. One other thing I want to make a comment about is I think it was very clear that you all expect performance from the Wayne County Public Schools. I think we owe it to the citizens of this county as taxpayers to perform better than what we have been performing. One thing that Dr. Richard and I had a conversation, he invited me to that last the Strategic Initiatives Commission meeting. Myself and Mr. Sanders went, and it was pretty clear that the group is really putting their heart into it. And I made sure to mention 3 things that I want to see inside of this strategic plan as it comes out. I didn't want it to end up sitting on a shelf like the last one that I think that was developed. It sat on the shelf. It wasn't measurable. So the very first thing's got to be measurable. But in addition to being measurable, things got to be achievable. But being achievable, it's also got to be challenging. Because if we don't challenge ourselves to get better, we're not going to be better. And so, and we've got a lot of other issues that are out there. But as you've seen, and I think you guys have mentioned here, Dr. Richard coming in, he's done some stuff that's just, really closing down a building, moving some students around. that gets to be very sensitive things, and it gets to be things that are hard decisions because you get backlash. Not everybody's gonna buy into it. And Dr. Witch told us that he was gonna take on that challenge, and he took on that challenge. The first thing was that facility utilization plan. He delivered on that. In addition to that, the next thing is a strategic plan. We want to have a good strategic plan for this community.
Well, like I say, I appreciate everybody coming. You know, you got great eyes. You know, across the county, it's like the commission board works against the Board of Education, and the Board of Education works against the commission board. And that's not a productive solution for any of us or for our students for that matter. I think in the long run, I think we need to start meeting on a regular basis. It might not be this big of a setting, but some getting together and trying to do the best that we can for our schools. No, we can't. I mean, if we can fund it all, we'd love to. But you know, everybody knows we can't do it all. It did not get in this situation overnight, and it's not going to get fixed overnight. As I said, Craig and I have been in conversations, and we're going to continue those and try to come to both boards with some suggestions, and hopefully that we can kind of get together. And I encourage you and Chip stay in conversation. You know, so it's a partnership and not a boxing ring as we said earlier. So I really hate that. But I just want to thank y'all for coming and meeting adjourned. Thank you.